So it's an underwater...
nuclear radiation resistant underwater television camera. And actually, this is just the TC-125. I could only find documentation on the 125SN, which is the one that said it was nuclear radiation resistant. This might just be the plain underwater one, but either way, it's heavy duty.
In more ways than one, right?
Yeah. And they have a little top indicator there, because otherwise you can't really tell whether it's right side up or not when you're shooting with it.
Right.
A lot of times they just hang them from ropes and get a shot straight down, and so you can see the ocean floor. But yeah, so really, really beautiful machine design. The other one doesn't have this plastic shield around the electronics, but it's neat. There's the label on there. It's the Hydro Products TC-125.
Looks kind of like the Terminator's arm with his
shield
removed, you know.
There's a lens on it, and this is like a little security camera lens that they just stuck to the
slapped
front.
on there.
Yeah, really, really interesting design. And then on the back there, the threads and the gasket, you'd put grease on that to help keep the water out.
Into the fitting.
Yeah. Neat. So this uses magnetic sound, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It has dual soundtracks for 2 programs. So with the black and white film, and it is film, it's microfilm. Actually, I learned that from that engineer. It's actually microfilm technology that they used. So it's high resolution, even though it's in a small space.
Yeah.
But with the 2-track programming, you could have 2 separate programs on each reel. But with the color, you have a color signal on one track and then the black and white image on the other. And it colorizes the black and white film
based on that
color pattern or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Isn't that the weirdest thing ever?
And it kind of uses like I think I've seen an image of the color pattern. It's almost like this serrated striped thing, right? That it superimposes. Yeah.
So I brought a color and a black and white
Nice.
reel of my 4 that I have.
Cool. Yeah, they really couldn't spare any space in this. They go all the way up to the end.
They do.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is our board that was smashed.
Yeah. So how does that
Smashed
connect down through?
It connects to...
Do you have to disconnect it from the underside and then feed
yeah.
it through? Okay. Okay. I was going to try pulling it out, but it doesn't look like I can.
No, unless we pull the bottom off, which is easy too.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that if need be, but I would like to see what it does as
like
is.
Vertical, horizontal output, you know. And, and I guess this is like
they labeled it down there too. There's horizontal flyback. Yeah. And this is just a plain CRT viewing tube. I mean, it's scanning a blank white raster on the screen, and then it gets focused down through an optical system into a very, very small image of that raster that's projected on the back of the film. And then the those are photo multiplier tubes. Okay, yeah, there's 2 of those.
So what do those do?
So those are basically like really sensitive, really fast responding photocells. So those take just the light coming in. They're not receiving an image. They're just taking a varying signal of light. Okay. But since the beam sweeping across the film is only on a single part of the film at a time, you get this varying intensity as it crosses areas of light and dark. And so these are just picking up the variations. And because the system knows where the beam is and it knows what it's picking up at that instant, it can just add a sync pulse back to that, and you get a picture.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is basically how a flying spot
scanner and that was how that other machine you and I talked about earlier was. It has that same technology in it. I don't know if it's quite as elaborate as this one, but that's what they said, is it had a light sensor to know where the sprocket holes were.
So there's deflection. I think that's a focusing coil, possibly. That's interesting. Because this is X and Y deflection. I think this is just for sharpening the focus.
Okay.
It's kind of like it has more in common with a television receiver than it does a television camera.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like the parts of a TV inside.
Right. It's kind of like how, I mean, if you had a regular TV that was just scanning a beam and you were to pick up the light that it was projecting off of it, you could reconstruct the image that way. And hackers have actually done that before. There's a way you can read images off of computer screens just by measuring the light in the room around it. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. There we go.
NTSC, channel A.
Yeah, that looks about right. This is a one of the last CRT monitors ever made right here. This is actually HD and SD, digital and analog.
Wow.
It was like a $20,000-$30,000 monitor too in 2005. Yeah.
How do you get digital into it? HDMI? Or?
HD SDI.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the BNC standard that we use in broadcast now. It's same stuff we have floating around at the station, the TV station.
Nice.
Yeah. So okay, it's
So should we put let's put the black and white one in there first.
yeah. On.
It's completely silent.
Yeah. Ooh, that's bad.
What's bad?
There's arcing right there. You see that?
Is it still doing it?
No, it's
Intermittently.
and that's kind of good. I mean, we don't want it to keep doing that.
No.
Right. If it looked like it was going to cause any damage, I would have stopped it earlier. But so you don't have to find the tail of the film or anything.
No, it just starts spinning in there.
Okay.
It's supposed to. Now, a couple
Yeah.
times I've ran it, it didn't thread properly, but
Okay.
there it goes.
That's so cool. That's some sort of like cue strip there that started it.
So yeah, we need audio
And I actually need
and.
to plug the monitor into it. I haven't done that yet.
What? How could you?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, you're fine.
There we go. Is that what you were getting before?
How about that?
Yeah.
I did not even get that.
Okay.
It was just black.
Yeah. See something there. Okay, yeah, top one's definitely video out.
Okay.
And then there's an RF out below that, which is
Right.
probably like a channel 3 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see here. If
That is pretty.
So interestingly, that actually does resemble video. So there's your horizontal sync pulse and your vertical sync pulse in the middle. I'm delaying it here is what I'm doing, so you can actually see the stuff that's usually off to the sides and bottom of the screen, top and bottom.
So at least is producing a image
Right.
signal.
It's not the right kind of image.
No, that's kind of an
It
ugly
is
one.
something. Now, some of that might be related to, I think we're shining light into it.
Ah,
is the problem.
okay.
Yeah. So the my fluorescent lights are screwing up. Okay, good. So I can hear the horizontal whine, right? That 15 kilohertz horizontal frequency. So that's telling me that the flyback transformer probably works.
Maybe operating.
Yeah. Without knowing where that high voltage comes up into the tube, which I think it comes through the underside. If I can actually get to it at some point, I can put a high voltage probe on it and test it. But
Oh yeah, we can get to it easy.
yeah, but I just want to make sure it was making that characteristic television
Yeah,
line.
I've already lost that high end of my hearing. I don't even hear
Oh,
that.
okay, yeah.
But I remember those days turning on those old CRTs and hearing the little whine,
Yeah.
whine and dine going on. Do you hear it, Andrew?
Mhm.
High pitch?
Yeah, it's just like in the back of my
It's
head,
just
pretty
way
much.
up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not hear it at all.
And the capstan runs continuously. It uses little cylindrical optics, so it probably... Do you know what it does? Does it just make a straight line on the film and then it passes over that, or does it actually scan a little rectangular...
That is an excellent question.
Okay.
I don't know. That's why it's got those grippers.
Yeah, that's where it comes into the bottom of the CRT. Did you glue that back in, or is it just...
No, that was already there.
Okay. So how do we get this out?
Very carefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. So, do you want me to pull this?
Yeah, go ahead. Be a little careful because I don't think it has any high voltage on it anymore, but let's see if I have a high voltage probe before we get too far.
Okay. Here, Brad, take that off. We'll see what happens. Nope, it's not safe. Sorry.
I'm not really sure what this is. This is either
Yeah, what is that thing?
be like a voltage doubler or tripler or something like that.
So this is just a cheap
Oh, I
piece
see.
of cardboard.
And then the rest of that just comes right through.
Yeah, and that just hangs out on there, I think.
Cool.
Because it's got that sealer on it.
So now we can put it back on its base, and it'll sit on this.
It will.
It looks like, yeah.
Not on carpet, though. I tried that already.
Oh, yeah. No, that would be a problem. Yeah. Well, and I'm not going to power it up. just yet.
Oh, come on. I want to see what happens.
Not with the high voltage hanging there, that's for sure. Actually, part of me kind of wants to try that and stick the probe on it, but we'll do that after we inspect it. So this,
Yeah, how do you like that forward-thinking, interlocking modules?
yeah.
Little did they know, IBM would be doing that at some point.
Yeah. There we go.
You can see my
Any repairs?
death-defying repair job in there.
That's better than most. Let's see. So you bridge that. That's good. Good, good. Probably good.
30% chance. That's good. And there's some super glue in there too to help kind of
Stabilize it.
stabilize it.
Yeah.
So and then what I did is used a continuity tester,
Mm-hmm.
and I went down each probe
Mm-hmm.
and tried to trace it to where it ends. You know, just to
Okay.
make sure. Okay,
Yeah.
Am I getting a contact from, say, you know,
And everything
here
checked out?
to there? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's looking pretty okay.
Yeah, and this little guy was dangling in there. I just
Okay.
kinda tucked him back into place, but that little coil was a little uncoiled.
Okay.
And there you can see that. Yeah, that.
Yeah, I
there.
see that. That shouldn't be a problem. There's enough turns on that coil. It'll throw it a little bit out of tolerance, but
Alignment.
yeah, flyback's a little warm.
Is that good?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. It's a sign that it was doing something, I suppose.
So according to Mr. Schuler, this was manufactured in 1973.
Okay.
I sent him the serial number that's on the inside,
Mm-hmm.
and he sent me back a little. He's like, "Oh, okay, that was made at this plant, and it was in
That was the guy who
1973."
was on the design
Yeah,
team.
he was he was the production engineer. And
Okay.
I had to ask him. I'm like, "Okay, what does that mean?" And he's like, "Well, the engineers who designed it were
Yeah.
on one side, and then when we put it together on the assembly line and we ran into problems, then we'd have to engineer
Right.
some things, make changes. But if they made a design change, they'd have to go back to the
Yeah.
design engineers to."
Well, these all look like really quite good capacitors. It's a good sign.
For the time, 73.
Yeah, everything's
so-
well sealed, and
Mhm.
it's not just like straight wax paper stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
the carbon comp resistors can drift, but just wanted to check the other boards. Usually, if there's enough stress to cause that kind of damage, you'd expect to see something wrong somewhere else.
Yeah, I was definitely looking for another board to be annihilated. But
Yeah. These caps are kind of a toss-up. I've seen some that are fine and some that are just awful on the inside, but none of those look leaky or corroded inside the plastic casing. Germanium transistors can go bad. That one, that's
Whoops, that one's
leaky.
leaking, isn't
It
it?
is actually leaky, yeah.
Oh no!
Grab a...
I want my money back. What's this big old firecracker?
That's that's a firecracker. No,
Yes.
that's a coil
Oh,
of some sort. What I could also do, we could power it up like this and disconnect this lead and check the output and make sure that something's going on there. Although, since we saw the arcing on the outside of the tube, we can pretty safely say there's voltage there. We just don't know if it's the right voltage. Oh, I think you're right. Yep, it pulled the
center of it.
yeah,
out.
pulled the little. That'll be okay.
I want my money back. Oh wait, I already said that.
You could probably just press that into place, and the top cover will keep it from going anywhere.
out.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, looky there!
Look at that. Did you know that was there?
I did.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
little breadcrumbs left all over the place on it.
I like how they actually it's all part of a troubleshooting thing. So it's
Mhm.
like player dead. Check these things. No raster on scanner. Yeah, pointing to a handful of things. One of which appears to be the tube itself.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. The focus raster, sync problems. I mean, it's making sync. And I can hear at least horizontal. So I think the horizontal raster, or the horizontal sweep is present. But that doesn't entirely mean that high voltage is right. It doesn't mean a lot of things, but it's a good first step.
Sure.
It means at least you have horizontal oscillator that's working. They're expensive then, and they're just hard to get now.
Yeah. I think there's been talks online in different forums about people taking these and doing experiments with the flying spot scanner.
Yeah.
You know.
I know I probably would if it was I really like the way these chips are mounted. That's interesting. You see they go through slots in the board, and then they bend the legs over and then solder them flat against the back of the PCB.
That's different.
I've never seen anyone do it that way before. It's kind of almost like early surface mount technology, except it's through-hole surface mount. Yeah. And then these lenses here focus that into the two tracks of the film. So it scans a pattern, and then that's focused very sharply onto the area of the film, so we can't see anything. So that's
bad.
With that. Now I do have a CRT tester, so we can check the tube and see if the tube is bad.
Okay.
Which is always possible. I mean, that's
especially
you
with
really
the rough
don't want that to
handling.
happen, but it's very possible. Let's take a look for a moment. Okay, so the tube is a what? Not really going to tell me. It's V1. Do they have any notes off to the sides?
This is the first time I've been able to look at this at a decent size.
Oh yeah, yeah. I tried looking at it on my phone earlier, and I was like, "Oh, let's get this on the laptop."
That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. So, CRT socket terminals have internal spark gap to ground. How cool! It's a safety thing.
Oh, good.
Beam LDR, so that's that thing.
That CDS cell. on the
Yeah,
top.
yeah. Like a light dependent resistor or something like that.
Ooh.
I'm making that up, but that sounds right.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. PMTs are photomultiplier tubes. And I think they're actually depicting what they look like. Oh no, those are resistors mounted externally. But yeah, you have all these. It's like a whole bunch of photocells in one thing.
One unit.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's more complicated than that, but that's kind of what it looks like.
Is that what those tubes were we see
those
on the
are
outside?
photomultiplier tubes. Yeah.
Nice.
Let's look at the other page.
Now, is that something a telecine machine would have in them as well?
There we go. There's the first page. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
At least a lot of them would. A lot of the flying spot scanners use those.
Light pipes.
Yeah. That's what's doing the sync light. Oh, there's a sync light too. Interesting. So there's a separate light that actually like flashes to create a sync pulse. Because the CRT itself won't actually display the vertical sync during the retrace and stuff like that. So that's probably just to add sync back to the beam LDR and a sync LDR. I don't know. I'm claiming to understand this a bit more than I do
Excellent.
right now.
I'm following you 100%.
And unfortunately, it still doesn't tell me what that CRT is. See, that's supposed to be 20,000 volts right there.
Ooh.
Not something that barely moves the needle. So I think we may have hit our problem right there. I don't think there's enough high voltage happening.
We need more.
Yes. So if we keep it on its... Is it still on its side? No. Okay,
Nope.
Flip it back on its side.
Mm-hmm.
Then check the output of the flyback for 10,000 volts. And if we have 10,000 volts there, then we know that the doubler is probably